Happy Thursday, Facebook friends. Welcome back to Facebook for another edition of Teacher Talk. I'm Angie Garza, Director of Professional Learning and Educational Services at ROE 47, serving Lee, Oakville, and Whiteside counties. And if you're just tuning in this Thursday on Facebook, welcome to March. Spring is in the air, the temperatures are warming up, and we are so excited to be transitioning into another season. And since it's March, what a better time than to celebrate not only education, but women in education. So March is Women's History Month, and all this month, ROE 47 will be bringing you inspirational stories from our women in leadership and education and in our community. So in that spirit, I would like to welcome this morning to our Teacher Talk, my friend, colleague, and co-host, Ms. Stacy Dingus. Good morning, Stacy. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Angie. I'm a warm weather girl, so the fact that we're in March, that means the grass has to turn green and the sun has to come out, and that's speaking my weather language, so I'm happy about that.
So Stacy, we are celebrating warmer weather. We are celebrating greener grass. We are celebrating the fact that we have some incredible women in our 3-county area who are doing amazing things. And so on this morning's Teacher Talk, we are very proud and very pleased to welcome to Teacher Talk our Teacher of the Year finalist. And hopefully she can tell us, we're so excited. Hopefully she can tell us a little bit more about that program. Kim Redostis from Oregon High School. Hi, Kim. How are you this morning? Thanks for joining us on Teacher Talk.
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to get this going.
All right. Well, just so our viewers know, the Illinois State Board of Education, since probably around 1970, has sponsored this Illinois Teacher of the Year program, and recognizing incredible teachers in 8 different regions of the state. And then from those regions, an overall Illinois Teacher of the Year is selected. And so you are one of those finalists. So we're excited to learn more about this. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into education, and what is it that you teach at Oregon High School?
Yeah, so I am from Kirkland, Illinois, small town, USA, and have really, quite honestly, been in love with school since the first week of kindergarten. Like, I had the best kindergarten teacher ever, and I just have been hooked on school ever since. I just love school. School is my favorite thing. You can ask any kid in this building, they will tell you I am obsessed with school. I love everything about it. So already the first couple of weeks of school, kindergarten year, I knew that I wanted to do school as long as I could do school. And as soon as I figured out what a teacher was, this is what I've always wanted to do. So I had my days at Hiawatha. Not only was my kindergarten teacher awesome, but quite honestly, every other teacher I had after her had admirable qualities that I wanted to emulate. And I felt really lucky that when senior year of high school came, I saw that I had friends that didn't really know what they wanted to do with their futures, but I had an idea that I wanted to be a teacher. And it didn't really matter to me what I was teaching, but I knew I wanted to do something with education. So I actually ended up going into Spanish, the reason being that I have a mom that's from Mexico. My dad is Austrian. That's the reason for the weird Radistis last name. But my mom is from Mexico. And when I was 7 years old, my parents started taking my brother and I to Mexico every single summer for a visit. And we would spend about 3 to 4 weeks in Mexico every single year. And I just fell in love with it there. Everything there was different than what we had here in Illinois, but the people there were so warm. The culture was so bright. It was so vibrant. And when I took Spanish classes in high school, my Spanish teacher at the time did a really good job of bringing that to life. But I knew that I also had a passion for that. And it was something that I wanted to share with students of mine in the future. So I ended up going to NIU for a Spanish language and literature degree and haven't looked back. I mean, teaching is just the way I've gone. I got really lucky in 2007 when it was time for student teaching that the program at NIU placed me actually here in Oregon as a student teacher. And I student taught here, and the other Spanish teacher that was part of that department decided she was going to move on to the next stage of her life and left her position, and I got it. And so I actually student taught here and have stayed. I've been here 15 and a half years, and they have been the 15 and a half best years of my life, without a doubt. And so that's kind of what I do. Since I've been in Oregon, I teach Spanish 1 primarily to freshmen. I also teach a freshman seminar class. I've been one of the teachers that has designed the open program at Oregon, which I'm not sure if you've ever heard anything about that, but it's a really cool program that's unique to Oregon high school. And then I help run the after school program for students that are at risk of not graduating on time. So a lot of different hats, like we were talking about this earlier. I think world language teachers, well, all teachers wear lots of different hats throughout the day, but every single one of those is a piece that's really rewarding in and of itself and a lot of fun. And I like kind of being all over the place when it comes to that. So that's a little bit about what I've been up to in my time here at Oregon.
Tim, you are just a breath of fresh air right now, as we are living in a world of chaoticness, and it's so what a great story, and so positive. You can just tell the few minutes that we've been on already that you truly love teaching, and that's great. And obviously that's reflected in your instruction with your students in your classroom, because you were nominated, I'm assuming, for this Teacher of the Year. Tell us a little bit about this Teacher of the Year program, how you got involved. We heard a little bit on the back end of maybe when you were told that you got this. So tell us that part.
Yeah, this has been a wild ride. Holy cow. I found out about being nominated for Teacher of the Year last school year. So the way it works is the school will, I guess it probably depends on the school, but our district, our admin team gets together every year and they nominate a teacher from the district that they're going to put forth for those who excel. That's what the program is called. So I found out about it, I think in April of last year, that they wanted me to be a part of this program. And when they nominate you, you get the gift of writing an essay about yourself, which quite honestly is not something I love. It's very uncomfortable to brag about yourself, I guess, or not even brag about yourself, but just kind of think about the things that you've been up to. And so it gave me an opportunity to go down memory lane, which has been awesome. Have the opportunity to think about like where I've been on my journey. And I guess I've done a lot of things in 15 years that I don't know that I really recognized until I went through the process of writing like a professional bio and my educational philosophy and what it is that I like to do in my classes and what I'm passionate about, what I would use this platform for. And then from there, you don't hear anything from those who excel for months. So I actually, if I'm honest, and I don't know if this sounds really bad, but I kind of forgot about it. I really did. So when I was in my classroom the day that they came to tell me about it, I was not expecting it. I'm like up in the front of the room. I'm telling my kids how proud I am about that they finished up a family tree project. I'm like, so proud of you. Like, look at how much Spanish you wrote. And then people start walking in my room with these signs. And I think that's one of them. What is going on? I'm reading the signs, and it was a ride. And ever since then, it really has just continued to be just the most special thing. It's given me the opportunity, again, to like go down memory lane. I've had the opportunity to talk to so many former students of mine, to hear what they're doing with their lives. I couldn't be more proud. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of an emotional roller coaster-y kind of thing, but it's been really, really good, really positive.
So Kim, a couple of things. You mentioned that emotional roller coaster ride. We're going to put you on one right now. Okay. I love the fact that you really appreciated and had a moment to reflect on your career. 15 years is that's an investment in something that you clearly love. And so I'm wondering if you can pull out that memory book and tell us about one of your favorite teaching memories that maybe you thought about in this process.
Yeah. That's a hard one for me, because again, like when this is your favorite thing, it's hard to think about what your favorite of the favorites are. Obviously, as a teacher, every teacher loves those light bulb moments, right? Like those are my favorite parts of teaching, when the kids can put all of the pieces of the things that you've learned in a year together and have that moment where like, oh, I do know this. Like in Spanish, it's so cool to teach Spanish 1. And the reason being that most of the kids that are in my class knew nothing on day 1. Like this is actually what I was talking to the kids about when they came in and announced the award was, on day 1, you walked into my room and you might have known 5 or 6 words. Here we are in March. And I'll be honest, the months of January and February, like I guess Northwest Illinois Teacher of the Year, I'm telling you, February and March for any teacher is hard. January and February, tough times, right? Like you're going through the motions, the kids, sometimes you're really pulling. But to tell them like, I want you to stop and I want you to take the time to just like look at the product that you're pushing out right now. You went from 0 to knowing all of this. How cool is that, right? Like, sometimes I have to take a step back as a teacher and remind myself of that. So those light bulb moments, awesome. When you can see kids are proud of themselves, the best. But I would say that favorite things, I guess, on the mushier side or like the sentimental side, the one that sticks out to me the most is, I think it had to have been like 7 or 8 years ago now. I was standing outside of my door for freshman orientation. And I was doing what I do, doing what I'm probably doing now, just crazy. Like, oh my gosh, tomorrow's the first day of school. Are you so excited? And I was saying this to every kid. And this one boy came to my room and I said, tomorrow's the first day of school. Are you excited? And he was like, no. I was like, what? How could you not be excited? School is so much fun. I hate school. I'm like, trust me, kiddo. Like, it's going to be so much different here at the high school. We're going to show you that school is like an awesome thing. And you're going to be in Spanish class, and Spanish class is so much fun. And he says something to me to the effect of like, I ain't going to learn no bleep Spanish. And I went into meltdown mode. It's like, I kid you not, like he left my room and I was like, just totally panicked. It like completely derailed the rest of my evening, not to like make him feel bad, but it did. And I was like, oh my gosh, this boy's coming. And like, he doesn't share the excitement I have for school. I'm so nervous for tomorrow. So like something that normally gives me butterflies of excitement, I was a little nervous going into the next. And the truth is, for weeks going into maybe a month or two, life with me and that student was a little rocky. I was a little afraid of him a little bit. Not like that I thought I was going to do anything bad, but just like, I just felt this pressure to like, I am going to change that kid's mind about school. And as time progressed, he and I started to develop a pretty good relationship. And sophomore year of high school, he came to me and said, you know, I'm thinking, I wonder, would you need a teaching assistant? Like, could I be your teaching assistant? And I was like, well, I thought you didn't like Spanish. Well, I mean, it wasn't so bad. I really think I want to be your teaching assistant. So he came in, and the reason why this was a bad thing became my favorite memory was because that entire school year, and then also junior year and senior year of high school, that kid was my teaching assistant in Spanish 1, and he was the best role model for every single kid that was in that room. Just when he saw that there was any little look of like hesitance about learning, he was the one like, oh no, like, trust me, this is like, this lady, she's gonna show you. Like, he was there to reassure people, and sometimes reassure me, like, just remember, Miss Rad, I did X, Y, and Z, and you were able to get through it. Like, he was my cheerleader, and that was, you know, I think we were each other's cheerleaders in a lot of ways. But he graduated high school, which I wasn't sure was going to happen. And that is my favorite memory. Just taking like something that could have been really, really negative and then going through I know I'm getting all goofy, but just going through all of the back and forth, and then seeing that product in the end. I think that when we celebrate things like what's happening to me right now, like I could look at this like, yes, like I am like this is such an awesome thing. But it's important when you're looking from the outside in that to get to this point, there are going to be a lot of, again, like emotional roller coastery kind of things. And so that's why that's my favorite moment. It's my favorite moment because I worked my tail off to get me to that moment, right? Whereas with some other kids, you know, it's easy to develop relationships with certain kids, but with that one, it was like, all right, when I got there, I felt like I hit the big time. And like that was the big time for me. So that would be that, a long-winded version of that. That would be my favorite memory, I guess. And I'll never forget him. I talk to him every once in a while still. He's a great human being. I'm really proud of him.
Well, I think just in that story, that is just another example of probably, why you are more than worthy of this honor and recognition, and the fact that, creating those relationships, we know as educators that's so vitally important to a student's success, and obviously to your, self-satisfaction of knowing that you're making an impact on the students. So thank you for sharing that. Having spent 15 years, you said 15 years in the classroom, education has changed so much in so many different ways. Can you share just a couple of those changes that maybe you have experienced firsthand?
So I think that I could say that there's always going to be those different variations of curriculum writing. So I have experienced that, right? Like you have the curriculum mapping and the RCD and the UBD units, and just different variations of similar things. And curriculum writing is so important. So I'm not diminishing that at all. That it's important, but different variations of that and going with the flow and making sure that your units are in certain templates. That's something I've experienced. I also could say that the pandemic obviously was the biggest shift ever. I think I'm a completely different teacher than I was 3 years ago. I am. I'm still love teaching as much as I did 3 years ago, but I look at education differently. Like, why wasn't I before making videos of important topics and posting them online? Like, I've had the internet for my entire teaching career. Like, why did that just dawn on me? Like, to do that for students that are at home with a bum knee or mono or something of that sort, that they can stream in on my classes and see the things that we're doing, like the important nuggets, so that they can do a homework assignment as opposed to being buried. Like, how cool is that? Like, I think it's offered me the opportunity to network with teachers that I didn't have before. I love that the pandemic has made teachers a lot more transparent in what we do. I think it's offered us the opportunity to share a lot more than what we used to. And then professional development is just so readily available. So that's been an awesome shift. Like, that technology piece, I think, is huge. I think it's completely transformed education. I hope it continues to transform education. I know it can be tiring to learn new technology tools, but if we do it slowly and consistently, we're going to just be better for it. There's no doubt in my mind on that. And then I guess personally, the biggest change I've personally seen in my career is, I think when I first went into teaching, like I mentioned, I was so passionate about the culture of Mexico and Spanish-speaking countries, and I've had the opportunity to travel over the years to like Peru and Costa Rica, and I love all of that. I love the Spanish part. But a change I guess I've experienced in 15 years of teaching is that though content is important to me and I can conjugate a verb like nobody's business, foreign language people know what I'm talking about, what's more important to me now is the just like the whole child perspective, right? Like, just developing my students into compassionate human beings. That's where my passion is now. I hope my students can leave my room being able to have a conversation fluently in Spanish. That's the goal. That would be awesome, right? But to me, that's the cherry on top. What I really want to see is my students being productive. I want to see them, responsible. I want them being responsible citizens. I want them to be compassionate people. I want them to be good humans. I want them to know what it feels like to be loved and to be cared about and to be known. So I think that a huge shift for me is just focusing on, again, the whole child versus the content, which it has a place, but I do believe that you can do both. And if you can do both, that's the special sauce, I guess. Like, that's where you want to be for sure.
Oh, Kim, as a former foreign language teacher, you spoke right to my heart. I'm right there with you with the verb conjugations and, being able to carry on the conversation in a foreign language. But, when I have my students that still come back to me like you, they don't remember the verb conjugations. They remember how you made them feel. And so I so appreciate I so appreciate you recognizing that. And especially now when times are tough, I think kids need, you know, that more than ever.
Oh,
So,
I completely agree. You know, I say, I've said to some close friends and colleagues quite a few times in the past that, so I said earlier that I'm from Kirkland. To be more specific, I'm from Fairdale, Illinois, which is the town that lost, or that had the tornado in 2015. I lost my house in that in 2015. I was home when that happened. And what happened from that, I mean, obviously was destruction and things being misplaced from your home and things of that sort. Not good. But there also was a silver lining to that too. And in some ways, what has happened with the pandemic kind of reminds me of that, right? In March of 2020, we were doing our thing, and then overnight, our entire world changed, right? It wasn't like you were getting ripped out of your house like I've experienced, but for some kids, school is their home. And they were misplaced from a place that, you know, was familiar to them in an appearance, but also all those familiar people that they were used to seeing, those smiling faces that were in the hallway, those teachers that they confided in, they no longer were able to spend time with those people. So they were isolated at home for long periods of time, expected to navigate this crazy world when us teachers really didn't know what we were doing either. And then to be back into the normal classroom now, just kind of like in the blink of an eye, yes, this school year is going to be challenging because there's so much transition that needed to happen from that point to now. And just thinking about that experience that I had in Fairdale, where we had to come together as a community, which is what we're doing in education right now. We're doing an awesome job. But we also had to partner up with like some professionals that knew what they were doing, right? We had to, you know, like people that knew about infrastructure and how to build houses and things of that sort. Like that community wasn't just the people that were originally there. It was bringing in other people too. And I think that's what we need to do in education right now. I think our kids, they need us partnering with parents. They need us partnering with community members. They need us partnering with any resources that we can get our hands on, even if that means reaching out to people in other schools. It is challenging times right now, but just like with that other experience that I'm describing, like there will be a silver lining and we will come out stronger. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm already seeing that in my classes. But it's gonna be one day at a time. It's gonna be one step at a time, and it's gonna take positive attitudes and some optimism, and it's gonna take some grit. It's gonna take some hard work, and I think we're well on our way to that. I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited to be on the other side of this and to see where we're at in 4 or 5 years from now, right? If we're having this conversation in the future, it would be fun to see how much we've accomplished, for sure.
you know, Kim, one of the things that we're not out of yet, and I don't actually, sadly, think we've seen the worst of, is the teacher shortage.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, you know, I heard from you grit and perseverance and, you know, just re-engaging and being re-inspired. But what advice do you think you would give a first year teacher or anyone maybe who's interested in going into education? What would you tell them right now about our vocation and why they should be excited?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I've had conversations with some former students of mine that are going into education and a couple that are in their first and second year of teaching. We talk frequently. And this is a hot topic of conversation right now. There's like a good group of about 5 of us, and we talk about it all the time. And a piece of advice number 1 is I think that social media can be an amazing tool. I use social media as a teacher all the time to connect with other Spanish teachers. I'm a moderator on Facebook for a group of over 13,000 Spanish teachers that we get together on Facebook and we share ideas for our classrooms. It is super inspiring to see what other people are doing in their classrooms and to have that like group to network out to. Awesome thing. But then there's the other side of social media that gets me nervous sometimes, specifically with younger teachers, people that are considering going into teaching, in that right now it's no secret that a lot of what's on social media is teachers that are tired, teachers that are feeling overwhelmed right now. And sometimes when you're trying to get those feelings out and you get them out on social media, you're giving other people just that short glimpse of, you know, like the bad day. And I fear that for a young teacher or somebody that's going into teaching or was thinking about going into teaching, they're going to see that and it's going to dissuade them from going into the profession. And it's like what I've said to those students that I'm talking about. We need you, right? We need them. We need those new teachers. Our kids need those new teachers. We need that passion. We need that fire that we know that those people have in their bellies. I don't want those comments of some of the negative venting things to maybe dissuade them from going into education. There are so many positives that unfortunately just don't make the highlight reel. I wish that they could, but again, like for any new teacher out there or anybody that's thinking about going in, like if you have a passion or an interest in being a change maker, we need you. We are here for you. We are here to support you. There are so many of us that are rooting for you and we're cheering for you and here to encourage you. And you just need to just network. Find people online that are passionate about teaching. You'll find us out on social media, like reach out to us. Like we love talking about our craft. I'd love to talk to anybody that wants to talk to me about education. Like I'm here for you. And I can tell you a million different reasons why education is the thing for anybody that has any interest in having the most fun job ever. It's the most fun job ever. No day is the same. No period is the same. It's the best job. And then the second piece of advice I would have would be that if you are interested in teaching, or if you're a first year teacher already, get into as many classrooms as you can. I don't care how busy you are in your day. That is the thing that you want to do. You want to get into classrooms and you want to see what is working well in other people's classrooms. And quite honestly, you want to see what's not going well in other people's classrooms so that you know what not to do when it's your time. There is no teacher in a building that isn't willing to have people come in, right? For so many different reasons. One, I know the people I work with are super passionate about what they teach. We love having guests in our room. But in addition to that, those new teachers coming into a room, they might have an idea of how to transform what we're doing. Maybe I've been trying to teach how to teach the difference between sit and a stat, and it's just not clicking with kids. And there might be a new teacher that has seen something on social media that I haven't seen. They can give me an idea. They can inspire me, right? I don't care how busy your schedule is. There should always be that desire to go in and see other people teach, because I do believe it is inspiring. I regret that I don't do it more often, quite frankly, but if you're not teaching yet and you want to see other teachers, reach out to schools. I mean, hey, I'll send you guys my info right now. If you want to start flooding those doors, my kids will have you and we'll have a great time. And if you see something that's not going well in my classroom, please, by all means, learn from my mistakes. Don't do the same things that I'm doing and really just rock it, just crush it. And I just can't stress that more. Is like some of the best professional development I have ever had is at the water fountain with the teacher across the hall, or, on my way to the bathroom with the teacher down the hall. Like that's some of the best professional development you're going to get, is just having conversations with people that are passionate about their craft. And you will find us everywhere, because again, it's the best job ever. So you're going to find people that are willing to have that conversation. So that would be it. One, like just drown out the negativity. And two, get into as many classrooms as you can. That's the best way to learn. I truly believe that. Just engaging with the teaching community. Not a magic bullet, I recognize, but I do believe it would go a long way. I do.
If it was up to me, I would cast 1 million votes your way, because I think right now we need to hear that message. So thank you for being so inspiring, and for your passion for our vocation, and for everything that you do for your students at Oregon High School. We can tell just by listening to you that you are where you need to be, and you are where your heart is at. And, if we're not having fun in what we do, then why are we doing it? So love to see your enthusiasm and your passion, even after the last few years that we've been through. So kudos to you and all that you do. Facebook friends, that wraps us up here on this fine Thursday in March. We are so fortunate to have our special guest, Kimberly Riddostitz, And Kim, I'm sorry if I keep butchering your last name. You would think as a former foreign language teacher that I would have it down, but we so appreciate all of your time here this morning, and we wish you the best of luck as our overall Illinois Teacher of the Year nominee representing the Northwest region from Oregon High School. Keep us posted on your journey, and we know that we are all right here rooting for you and celebrating with you for all that is to come. Thank you also to my friend, colleague, and co-host, Ms. Stacy Dingus. Stacy, we will be back here next Thursday, honoring and celebrating another woman in education right here on Teacher Talks. So until that time, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, an even better Friday, an amazing weekend, and we will see you right back here next Thursday for another edition of Teacher Talk.